Hi, I'm Mickey,
I'm Sherry.
and we're with Gorilla Capital Partners, and you're listening to the S.M.E.
Stories Podcast.
You are now listening to the next great small business podcast. Welcome to the S.M.E. Stories Podcast, where it is all about small businesses in Canada. And here's your host, Ken Alfred.
All right, guys, we got a great episode today with Mickey and Sherry Patterson of Gorilla Capital Partners, LLC. Now, a little bit about Gorilla Capital Partners. They're more than just a company. They're actually your strategic partner in prosperity. They specialize in raising capital for high potential syndications and funds. Now, they're committed to sourcing and structuring investment opportunities that are unique as they are lucrative. Now, they have one basic mission, which is unwavering: to empower the investor with the resources and knowledge they need to achieve financial growth and security in a complex market. So they really focus on real estate investment there. So a little bit about Mickey himself. Now, he spent the last 25 years in sales and business development, where relationship selling was paramount. Now, this carries over to non-work related items as well, as he spends his free time as a coach, whether it's rugby or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So as you can see, I think Mickey and Sherry are going to have a great story here to tell about real estate investment. So sit back and absorb. You know, it's nice to, because we're now going to touch on the tips from the pro segment here.
Now it's time for tips from the pro.
Okay, now we're talking about, now these are going to be more specific to say, okay, they're looking to get into the real estate investment space. Now so we have a wide variety of different questions here. So we have a lot of listener questions here. So first question I have here, what are the red flags when evaluating a mortgage syndication? Real estate syndication?
Ask for their P&L. When you're going into business with someone, which is what you're doing, as whether it's a limited partner or whatever type of partner you're going to be, have them show you their credentials that can be verified. Because again, there's a lot of people that talk big on, I own X amount of doors, I've done this, this, and this, but come to find out they've actually never been a general partner before. They've been a limited partner in all these deals. Find out what their experience is and have them show that to you. You know, you prove by showing, not telling.
And not that they couldn't ever do something with someone who's just getting started out. There's going to be a lot of those, like friends and family, that they do those with, but they just want to understand what they're getting into. And it's okay if they're getting involved, maybe someone who is starting off, but you really want to know that up front. And then it also kind of gauge, well, what does your deal look like? And I would say other red flags on those would probably be just right off the bat when you see these really high kind of cap rates or things that you see from the marketing material. You've got to be really cautious who the brokers are or they're pushing that stuff out, and be extremely diligent on your numbers. I know that kind of echoes what Sherry was saying on the previous comment, but you have to know the numbers. And if you're not 100% confident in the numbers, you got to just wait it out. And
you have to be able to run your numbers yourself, not depend on this is what this person said it was. You know, that's what happens a lot. Like you were talking about the I buy ugly houses or whatever. Those are wholesalers. So when they send out a property and they tell these new investors that, oh, this property costs X, the rehab is X, and the ARV, the after repair value, is X. Well, they trust that that's the correct numbers. They have to keep in mind, this person may or may not have the experience to even come up with those numbers, but they're going to tell them what they want to hear because they need to sell the property.
Yeah, they get under contract for only a certain period of time, right? And they have that time between they find a seller to the actual buyer of it is limited, right? Because, so sorry, finish your point.
And unfortunately, I get people too late. They normally come to me by word of mouth once they're already in trouble because they already bought that property. They've done the rehab, which cost way more than what it was supposed to. And the ARV is nowhere near what the person that sold it to said it was going to be. And now they're losing money. What do I do? And then I have to fix those problems. So whether it's a syndication or whether it's a small deal like a single family, understanding the numbers and being able to run the numbers yourself.
Yeah, like try to avoid. Yeah,
true, they probably are.
Oof. So try to hide that sledgehammer, people. That's all you have to remember. If you see it on HGTV, it looks fun, but you know, maybe do that on your own home if you're going to renovate your own place, but maybe not on every single deal. All right. Second question here. What are the cost saving secrets you guys notice in rehab? Like, so what are some tips you can provide those who are, let's say, rehabbing a property? So maybe cost saving secrets.
Yeah. So luxury vinyl, the waterproof luxury vinyl, you can get it for very inexpensive, like $1.24, $1.36 a square foot. And it's very durable. It's actually much better than if it's for a rental property or flip or whatever. much more durable than you get in laminate or even real hardwood or something you're going to spend a lot more money on. So you could save money there.
Lighting. I think one thing we've talked about a lot is you can get inexpensive lighting that changes the way a place looks a huge amount. And that's something that doesn't cost a lot and can save some rehab costs in some other areas.
Yes. So it increases value. So it's not really a cost savings, but paint and lighting makes a huge difference in the way a property looks. And somebody can walk in and have that wow factor when you really didn't spend that much money. It had to be painted anyway. Painted color that is, again, maybe you're going to have, I use agreeable gray because depending on what furniture you have in there, it looks tan or it looks gray. So that's neutral. But then your cabinets be a pop of color. Right now it's emerald green. That's the color that's in. So it's this pop of color with emerald green and some, they have really cool lights at Home Depot or Lowe's that are inexpensive, but I find a lot of neat things on Amazon. You can buy these really cool looking lights or even inexpensive faucets and fixtures that look really cool, look really expensive, but really are from China. So,
and maybe kind of a little more personal one on that one is forget about your feelings in the process. Stick with the things that are common and accepted by the masses. Because a lot of people go into this and they get very emotionally attached. Well, I think it should be really cool to do this. It's not. So don't. Just manage your cost, play the numbers, do it, and then get your emotions out of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because my next question from one of my listeners is, are there any tips to prevent over renovating a property? And I think you kind of touched upon that because you think like you're going to live there. Oh, everyone needs granite countertops. Sure.
That's probably, it's funny you mentioned the granite countertops. Those are along with, as you look at the properties, and this is where you get with professionals as well in the area, because that can also help, because you can get an idea of, okay, well, what does the neighborhood have? You don't need to be the nicest one in the neighborhood. It's frankly better to be on the lower end from a return on investment standpoint. So don't do things that are outside of the scope of what your market or your environment is going to allow you to recoup.
But if it is a flip, then you want to make sure that your systems are good. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure, because they're going to come in and do an inspection. So we see so many people that put lipstick on a pig, but they come in and do an inspection. The foundation's bad. The HVAC hasn't been replaced. The shingles are bad. And so you're not going to be able to sell this property because you spent all your money making it look pretty, but did not fix the things that need to be fixed. We go into so many properties that their hot water heater does not drain to an exterior anywhere or to a drain line. Well, that doesn't meet code. So make sure your property, spend the money on the things that people are going to inspect. Because again, that wow factor, like I said, you're going to have to paint anyway. Paint something cool that gives you that wow factor, and you can do other things that are inexpensive to have that wow factor. And so many people don't spend the money on the exterior. That's very important. When you pull up to the house, whether it's even, the landscaping or whatever it is, the paint is peeling and stuff, make the exterior of the house look nice also, because that's going to make a big difference. Their carpet hill and their first impression.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great advice there. Okay, next question on this one here. No, that's not the question I was going to ask. Oh, there it was. What are some smaller niches that maybe investors should think about that may not be your traditional fix and flip or syndication?
I tell people, and again, I get very creative with people's money. That again doesn't make me any money. So I have newbies that'll call me and I'll say, okay, what's your cash on hand? And they'll say, I've got $20,000 or $12,000, even $20,000. I'm like, you're not buying anything. There's nothing that, even syndications usually have a higher threshold to get in than that. So in most investment properties, if it's a single family, it's a minimum of 15% down. If it's multifamily, it's 25% down. So they're not going to money to buy anything. So there are creative things they can do, as I said, with tiny houses. I've got a tiny house. I paid $15,000 for it. I rent it out for $1,200 a month. Now luckily I own an RV park, so I have it parked at an RV park, and I pay my $450 park pad site fee. But then that leaves me another, $800 in profit.
And it's kind of like in that case, it's like a rental arbitrage. You see people look at either houses or apartments where they can do a subleasing, and they'll, especially areas that may be good for short-term rentals, they'll rent a space and then, say around Cowboy Stadium here, and they'll rent those out for games or events and stuff. And so they're just making money off of rent that they signed up for a 6 month or a year lease. So that's an area where you're not putting up front money, but or even things like one we talked about RV parks a bit. We do this with one of our own, and we know several other people that do as well. Just we have a fifth wheel. It's an RV, and we get it parked out at one of the spots, and we rent it out.
We rent it out for $1,000 a month that they live in my trailer. But some people, you can buy on Facebook a $7,000 RV, put $1,000 in to make it look cute. Take out all the cheap furniture that it came with, put in a real couch, a real table, paint the cabinets, whatever, make it look cute. And you can either rent it out. People will pay $300, $500 for the weekend to take your travel trailer camping, or again,
especially during COVID.
Yeah. Again, that if it's an RV park like ours, that we welcome RVs to be parked there and they can rent it out. So that's a lot cheaper when they could be in an RV for $10,000 and rent it for $1,000 a month. Even if they have a lot fee, they're still making $500 a month. Whereas with a single family, they've spent $350,000 and they're probably making $200 or $300 a month. So there's a lot easier ways to, as I said earlier, to get in with a lot less money and have a lot higher return. There's smarter ways to get your money.
Yeah, you know what always got to me is that I never understood, like, 'cause I always thought that tiny homes were a really interesting niche that I'm surprised more people aren't getting, because I know here in Canada there's a housing shortage here right now. So we have a lot of people coming in. I'm sure the States has very similar things where there's a lot of people are looking for homes. And, you talk about red tape. There's a lot of red tape here in Canada for some reason to try to get to build a home. But I remember hearing one story a little bit, I think in Nova Scotia or something, where they have someone who's more like a multimillionaire, but he decided to buy a big plot of land and is building a bunch of tiny homes. And some of these homes can retail for maybe a little under $100,000 in Canadian dollars, right? So I'm saying, why isn't more people considering doing that as opposed to like trying to do a custom home build or something like that?
There are, in certain areas you do see those. That's actually something that we've got a couple projects we've been looking for some land to do our own. So if any of your listeners want to reach out to us on those, we may have some for you in the near future. But it certainly is. I think a lot of times it's figuring out within the community what's the right balance. And frankly, I think a lot of people just still don't appreciate the niche yet. To understand it is probably the better part.
And the permitting. Some cities just are not going to allow it either. Just like there's some counties here that there's no more RV parks being built. You can't get a permit to build an RV park. And they categorize a tiny home park similar to
like a mobile
home park that would be similar to that. So it's also going to be permitting and have to get approval from the county or city or wherever you're building it.
But that kind of goes back to just, it's because it is a newer piece, even getting the banks and lenders on board, because part of the challenge with anything new is they don't know how to evaluate it. And so if they don't know how to evaluate it, they don't know how to give you a loan on building and developing it, which means, or if they do, it just costs so much. So I think as it becomes more mainstream, you'll start to see them grow quite a bit.
We ended up letting one go. We had one under contract and had done our underwriting and everything and wanted to purchase it. And it's a great location and it was on the Brazos River. But we couldn't find financing for it. Nobody, because they wanted to value it just at land value only. They weren't giving any value to the tiny homes. So we just couldn't get it financed. So we ended up in not being able to get it done within the time period we had on our contract.
Or couldn't get it financed at a rate that would make you money.
There you go.
Which is the key factor for all of it.
Well, the funny thing, I remember my wife, Mrs. K, was watching, I guess, something on HGTV, or she was talking about tiny homes. That's why I kind of thought of this here. And she's like, hey, how about we get a tiny home? And I looked at her with love in my eyes. I said, let's get two. One for you, one for me, because I don't think we can share one.
We lived in.
If we could turn the camera around, you would see.
We'll send a picture for you. But
there we go.
So we're in a tiny house right now talking to you.
Really?
it's my office that we built as a tiny house. But here on our farm, just across the outside the window, while we were building our current house, and then we built this one as well, I lived in a tiny home. Tiny home, to put it in perspective, 168 square feet tiny.
It's 60.
Yeah. So you're tiny.
60 square feet.
And then she lived in the motorhome parked 20 feet from me, right outside the door. And we had 4 dogs at the time. So I was in the tiny house with 2 dogs, and she was in the RV with 2 other dogs. And so our dinners were like big nights. You coming up with our RV but then it wasn't. But we did that for a year. And
then it's funny, everybody's like, oh, how do y'all do that, live in different houses? But I'll tell you what, with those 2 houses next to each other, we were closer than what we are in the house that we built of where we sit. We're further away distance-wise inside the house than what we were in the 2 tiny houses during that time. So
yeah, it was just down the steps and outside to her house.
All right, I'm just going to make sure Mrs. K does not hear this part of the episode, because then she's going to probably say, let's go get 2 tiny houses.
Yeah.
Right? But
Oh yeah, they do it.
they do it. But I like I said, I think it's a really interesting idea. And I think I didn't realize, too, that you got problems with what? It could be county issues, or in here, it could be municipal or provincial issues of why they don't do that stuff, right? Because I think we're heavily gentrified here in Ontario and in Canada, but I'm sure there's other pockets where there's a lot of land that can be potentially used for that. So, All right, interesting. All right, now we're going to get to the fun stuff.
Now it's time for the rapid fire round.
The rapid fire round now. So we're going to ask you some really quick questions and see how quickly you guys can answer, okay? All right, first question. What is your best time-saving hack?
I'm long-winded, so I don't know that I have a good time-saving hack. I get up early, so that's probably my only help.
I set a timer. I have a little pig kitchen timer, and you set it for 20 minutes. So that way you focus on whatever you're focusing on for 20 minutes at a time. And that way you don't turn off your phone. You're not checking emails. You're doing whatever you're focused on for 20 minutes. And then you give yourself a couple of minutes break, stand up, shake it off, whatever, set the timer again. And whether you're back onto that same project, but you time block or you're moving on to a different project, but set the timer for 20 minutes at a time to get your projects done.
Excellent. All right. What would the 15-year-old self be thinking you'd be doing now?
President, probably. But
President.
that ship sailed about 18. Probably sports or coaching.
Sports or coaching. All right. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I was very big into beer and boys. So I went and got a degree in beer and boys. So, my young age, I don't think I really had a whole lot of ambition.
Okay. No, this will be even more like, what posters did you have up in your room when you were 15?
I don't know which posters, but I know it was probably a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
President Patterson. How about you, Sherry?
I don't even remember what my room looked like at 15, to be quite honest. Younger than that was Sean Cassidy, because I'm old.
You said the 80s hairband, right?
No, I don't think I had any posters. I don't think I was into posters, but yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. I mean, I used to have, I was a big martial arts guy. I had a Bruce Lee poster, which is actually my son's poster, which is in my son's room right now, and some NHL stuff, because obviously we play hockey here in Canada. And I had a poster booklet that was just of cars. I didn't know any of these cars' names at all. I just felt I guess, because you watch TV and every kid had some kind of posters. I would just randomly stick posters up in my room, and I didn't know any of these cars. So, that's what was hanging up in my room at that age. So, all right, what is something you hate but you wish you loved? And I'll use the example for myself. My wife and my kids, they love playing Wordle. I have no clue what that is. I still have no idea how to solve it. So I don't really like it. But what about you guys?
Vegetables.
Vegetables.
You stole mine.
So you guys are a carnivore diet family. That's great.
I'm a carnivore and carb craver. I really wish I liked veggies, but I am terrible.
Yeah, veggies can be a tough one, no matter how you slice it. Sometimes it's hard. So, all right, let's make it more fun then. So, what is your favorite meat dish?
Really, any kind of steak. I'm big T-bone. I'm a big T-bone fan, and I like smoked salmon. Those two are. I know I can't.
Sherry's just nodding her head. She's like, nope, no salmon. But
seafood. I like roast. I like steak.
Nice. How do you guys make it? Like, how done is it?
I cook it on the grill, and she harasses me why it's not done yet.
Well, and we were on a palm farm, so he cooks it with pecan wood.
Yeah.
So has a really good flavor, smoke flavor.
Oh, okay, so is it medium rare, well done? How do you guys make it?
Medium.
Yeah. And not cooking something over a real wood fire.
Well, I have a coworker who only eats well done, and I'm asking him why. Right, because I'll be and I'm a former well done person, because that's how my family always cooked it, was always well done. And it wasn't until I met my wife, Mrs. K, where I started going from, because she would have hers like medium to medium rare, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can eat all that blood. And he's like, okay, just for me, just try first medium well. So I started doing medium well, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's let me try medium, and then now I'm all the way down to medium rare. So if I can't do anything more than well done. But his rationale is that the reason why he likes it well done, he says when it's too raw, whether it's medium rare or medium, he says it's like chewing gum, and he doesn't want that feeling of it being too chewy.
Otherwise, it's like chewing on our shoe.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, maybe I should tell him, okay, so you can eat cardboard. It's going to taste better. So, but no, I'm kidding with him. He's a great guy. But all right, what is your next question? What is your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. That's good.
Yeah, mine's probably cream or brownies.
I don't eat sugar. So
actually, you know what? I take that back. I got to turn in my man card for this, but every night almost I drink a wine cooler for dessert. So
really,
I do. It just, my friends harass me all the time about it. So, but I wine coolers every night, one for dessert.
Oh boy, wow! I wish I had something as simple as like a salt tooth or a sweet tooth. I have a fast food tooth, right? So it's like I either got to do the McDonald's or the Burger King or the something, right? And if you think about it, let's say you had a sweet tooth and you just had, let's say, cake. Number of calories in a cake versus a double Whopper poutine combo with an extra, which, you see what I mean? I wish I had something as simple as a salty tooth or a sweet tooth. But aside from that, okay, now I understand that you guys study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I've been for about 25 years.
All right, who is the biggest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt? Who's the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt of all time?
I probably got to give it to Hodger Gracie in the gi.
Wow.
Gordon Ryan, no gi.
Gordon, yeah, wow, that's pretty good. For the listeners who don't know about Gordon Ryan, he is like a beast as a jiu-jitsu. He's a no gi, so it's just basically t-shirt, long pants, whatever. And then was it Roger Gracie? Sorry, or Horn?
Roger Gracie. Yeah, it's spelled Roger, but yeah, Hodger Gracie with the gi.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Gordon no gi. Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool. And Sherry, you don't practice jiu-jitsu at this point, I'm assuming, or do you?
You always fight him off.
You fight him off? Well, you know what? My wife, Mrs. K, she's actually a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Awesome. And my kids actually do Jiu-Jitsu as well. I think they've been doing it for many years already. So once they hit 16, hopefully they'll get their blue belt. And maybe my wife will go for her brown belt or black belt in a few years. But, I did martial arts back when I was a kid. I did Taekwondo, Krav Maga, kickboxing, boxing. So I'm more of a stand-up guy. But, it's great for them to do it. And I get more joy out of seeing them.
It's such a good sport. Just getting the kids involved. Our daughter and son both trained for a while, and especially with the daughter having some of the confidence that it builds with the kids training is huge. And it is no fun being something that, as an adult, you can train and do with the kids. That's
exactly.
It's one of the legal ways you can abuse the kids and choke them and not get in trouble.
Which is why I don't do it.
And we're not endorsing strangling your children if you do jiu-jitsu. Please let that be a little warning thing there. And sorry, Mickey, what is your belt?
I'm a third-degree black belt.
Woof. All right, so this ties to my next question. Tap, nap, or snap, 3 people. Who would you pick?
Wow. I would say 3 people.
Yep.
That is a tough one.
Did I stump Mickey on this one? Looks like
it's hard to pick. I would have rattled off pretty much any politician, but
politicians are open. Everyone's open.
I'll quickly run out of 3. Wow, I don't even know the answer. So it's I really like everybody for the most part. I would say
Sherry's just shaking her head and smirking. No, he doesn't.
I would say nap would be Joe Biden because I think he's mostly napping already. So it wouldn't be a difficult one. Tapping would be Trump because you just got to get him shut up sometimes too. So it's an equal opportunist. And then snap. That is a good one.
I was waiting for the answer to be me.
No, I love her.
Yeah. Or I would assume she would have. I would assume you would have said nap your wife, right? Just be like nap Sherry right there. I'm just going to give you a light little hug, sweetheart. All right, she's out. Right, so
yeah,
you might have to tell me after the show if you haven't figured out the
I need to do that. I'm going to have to go on hold for that one. I apologize.
All right. Last two questions. Last two questions here. All right, I always ask to tell my guests, if you could have your own sandwich, what would be in it, and what would you call it?
Again, my problem is I don't eat bread, don't eat sugar, don't eat preservatives. So
meat.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Mine's pretty much it, and it has to be. I'll only buy local stuff, meat and stuff too. So mine's pretty much
steak.
Yeah, steak and cheese. Let's go with steak and cheese.
There we go. All right. How about you, Mickey?
Oh, I thought that was just shot. I didn't get on get stumped twice. I'm kind of the same way. Oddly enough, I eat my sandwiches weird, so I'm pretty much just kind of meat as well in that. So
he doesn't eat any food mixed together. So if he has a sandwich, he eats his bread, his meat, his cheese, whatever would be on a sandwich. He eats it all separately.
Really?
So we're definitely not the right people to.
We could call it the loner, like all the food.
The loner.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, you know what? Like I said, I do separate some foods. For some reason, the only foods I separate, Skittles by color. For some reason, I can't. And the Chicago, I eat them in a specific order. Right? Skittles, I eat them in a specific order. I can't just. What my wife, Miss Kate, annoys the crap out of me is that if I had, let's say, a bowl of Skittles, I'll just be. I wouldn't be separating it. It's just that I'll be fiddling for the specific colors that I'm eating first. And then she'll just walk up and grab a handful and then start eating it. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. My kids have started doing that now, where they actually, they separate it by color. They each have a distinct flavor. But anyways, I'll die on that sword. But no, or that, you ever had that Chicago popcorn where it's like it's mixture between the salty, cheesy popcorn and then there's like the caramel popcorn and they mix them together. I have to separate those. I can't eat those together.
I wouldn't.
I can't.
I don't like trail mix for very much the same reason.
Separate if you have to. All right. Last question we have here. What is your theme song and why? So you're walking down the street, that song hits. We know that Mickey and Sherry are coming.
Wow.
Again, I'm stumping them today.
I know. There should be some thought put into these first.
Go ahead. You're missing.
Mickey's thinking of it while you're waiting, Sherry.
I mean, honestly, mine is, my milkshake brings all the boys to the car.
Love it.
I was going to go with Tony Braxton, Old School.
Oh.
Hey, Mickey.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this has been an awesome episode. So, all right, guys, we're basically done. I can't believe it's been over an hour already. It just flew by really quickly here. So is there any other final advice you would want to give to listeners, whether they're running their business or starting or potentially starting one? Any other advice, tips you would give them?
I would say spend the time up front really understanding all the metrics and specifically the finance part. Reach out to friends and everybody if you have to get second eyes on it. But if you do your due diligence up front, you'll feel a lot more confident. You won't constantly second guess things. And you'll probably a lot of times find things that you didn't by running your numbers, giving them to somebody else, coming back and rechecking them. But the numbers have got to be solid. I mean, more than anything, whether it be underwriting deals or doing your business plan analysis, numbers.
I agree with that, but my advice would be don't be afraid to fail. Fail forward. You may have lost money, you may have lost your business. Even if you had to file bankruptcy, again, you learned something. You always learn from it. So fail forward and, do the next one better. Learn from your mistakes and do it again. Just keep doing it again. Again, I've had a lot of businesses. Some have been fantastic and made me a lot of money. Some of them have not. So, but learn from your mistakes and just, keep investing, whether that's in a business or in real estate or in Bitcoin, whatever it is, find out what you want to do in your niche and go for it. Like you said, you don't want to be retired or on your deathbed and think, what if, what should I have done? Just do it. Today, when's the day to start? It's today.
Right. I was going to say it, man. Cupcake business. I'm just saying. You never know.
You like
your
cupcakes. You need to have your Whopper next to it, though.
Yeah, exactly. So where can people reach out to you?
GorillaCapitalPartners.com or AspireRealtyTeam.com. Phone number is really easy, 817-666-3336.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show. It was an awesome episode.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
Hey, do you need an error-free website? Do you need transcription that's accurate and on time? Would you like to remove noise from your video or audio recording? Do you need a spokesperson for your business? If so, we can help. At Northway Capital Group, we are happy to announce that we are now providing website testing services, audio transcriptions, and audio cleanup, as well as spokesperson services. We would love to help you on your next project. Contact us for more information at northwaycapitalgroup@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening to the S.M.E Stories podcast, which is owned by Northway Capital Group. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Northway Capital Group.